All right, folks, it is time for part 2 of this series where we go over Bryan Johnson's anti-aging workout. I suspect, much like the last time, he's not really going to be very strong on evidence for the reasons he does the things he does. Probably just a random mishmash of stuff that he's heard is good for him. And of course, disclaimer, of course, workouts are good for you. Workouts help you age gracefully. They help you maintain muscle mass, flexibility, function, cardiovascular ability well into your later years, which means that you're going to have a much better quality of life. You're going to live longer, and that's awesome stuff, right? Is he going to provide any proof that the stuff he is doing is actually causing him to age in reverse? I highly doubt it, but let's see what he says.
For the past few years, I've been endeavoring to build the world's best anti-aging protocol, and to do so, becoming the most measured person in history. What I'm going to...
like I said last time, being measured doesn't mean very much unless you're actually doing something about being measured, unless that is actually meaningfully impacting the kinds of behaviors that you have in a positive way. And, so far, from the last time, it looks like a lot of stuff he measures is just weird gobbledygook. So let's see if he is any better this time around.
What I'm going to show you today is my daily exercise protocol. I'm trying to achieve being in zone 2 through 4 for my heart rate, roughly 4.5 hours per week.
This is like stuff that sort of matters if you're a cardiovascular athlete. So if you are looking to be really good at running, for example, you need to sort of manage how long you spend at various heart rate zones so that you can sort of get better at being in those zones for longer and ultimately getting the kind of results that you want. Is this important if you are an average exerciser, if you're someone who cares mostly about lifting weights, general health, etc.? Not really.
For zone 5, which is 159 beats per minute and above, I'm between 90 and 150 minutes per week. Outside of that, weight training is useful. Having a high VO2 max.
He's right, weight training is useful.
Which is your body's ability to use oxygen.
He's right, having good cardiovascular function is useful.
Is also great. But generally, it's pretty straightforward and it's pretty basic. Many of you are much better at this than I am. You know more, you do more, you have more specialized knowledge. That's amazing.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Objective is really focused. I'm not training to become a triathlete. I'm not training for a marathon.
So why are you worrying about your heart rate zones, man?
Training to become a bodybuilder. I'm not training to be dropped into the forest and fight a wild animal. I'm training to slow my speed of aging and maintain optimal health. It's a very narrow goal. By the way, you may notice...
Again, what's the evidence for that?
My face is a bit red. That's because I did a microneedling protocol on Friday and I'm still healing. Now what I'm going to show...
What is that? I have no idea. What does that do?
...you is what I do on a daily basis.
All right, daily workout. Does this mean he's doing this exact workout every single day? Because if so, this is oh my God, this is an awful... This can't be it. This can't be his workout every day. Sled stretches, tricep extensions, face pulls, butterfly band pull, back extensions, oblique stretches, leg and calf raises, step ups, squats. This is the most gobbledygook, junk mix of random BS workout I've ever seen. I hope, I saw him bench pressing earlier. Where's the bench press in this?
I'm going to walk through each one of my exercises. So if you want to implement this, you can see me doing it. I'll explain what I'm doing, and you can then incorporate it into your protocol. It's roughly 45 to 60 minutes, depending upon the day, and around 20 plus exercises. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I do is the sled. Okay, so this is the sled. I've got 95 pounds on the sled. I do this for...
There's nothing wrong with pulling a sled, right? It's a great exercise, full body exercise, cardio exercise. Again, where's the anti-aging in this? He's just pulling a sled.
Between 3 and 5 minutes, depending upon the day, I'll probably get 3 to 4 laps, 6 to 8 times up and down. Sometimes I'll take about...
Is he doing the same intensity every day as well? Is he not progressing his workouts? Because if so, that seems kind of bad. It's rule number 1 is your workouts have to get harder. It sounds like he's saying that he does the same intensity every day, and he varies between, again, 3 and 4 laps or whatever.
About a 30-second break in between a few of these. and let the muscles rebuild. Yeah, it helps gently get the heart rate up.
Like, muscles aren't rebuilding. Like, you're not, like, when you're resting, what you're doing is replenishing energy that you've spent and allowing, like, metabolites that you've built up to clear a little bit. You're not building things until you go to sleep, which is the next day.
Nice warm up. All right, now let's head into the gym and get started with the next exercise. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is,
Gotta be honest, I'm jelly. Like, I want this gym set up.
Is these posture exercises, which I did an entire video about.
I could probably go off on this on its own, but like, there's not really very much scientific evidence that posture training does much of anything. You know, it's kind of silly on its face. So like, not gonna get into it here. Like, I should maybe provide some evidence about this. I should probably have a longer discussion about why posture training is silly, but I just don't have the time for this right now. But suffice to say, I believe it's pretty silly, and my understanding from a lot of the physical therapists that I've talked to, it's kind of a very outdated way of thinking about posture and about like physical therapy, injury, pain, etc.
The short of it is I was never taught good posture, and so I maintained posture that had me in a way.
No, like, the reason you have a specific posture is because those are the mechanical forces acting on your body at any given time, and you are taking, you know, basically like the path of least resistance. It's not about like being taught good or bad posture. You can intentionally change your posture by making an effort, but the reason that you have a specific posture is because basically it's a combination of the way your body is built and the way that you sit and so on.
That was restricting my blood flow in my veins. And so in correcting for my posture, I learned that it takes a lot of muscle and a lot of attention and diligence to maintain proper posture.
He's right. It's tough to change posture, and that's because you're fighting against what is natural to you.
Okay, this is the second posture exercise I do daily. It's 30 degrees up. Now, it's important.
Whether or not these two exercises are doing anything for him, I couldn't tell you. I have literally no idea.
To note, I've built up these muscles over a 1 year time period now. But when you're just getting started, you don't want to overdo it. And I think most experts will tell you that 2 to 3 times per week is max. So be really careful with these. You don't want to overstrain it. I've steadily...
You're not going to overstrain your neck muscles by doing some exercises 2 or 3 times a week. You can do it like every single day.
Worked up to this ability now where I feel fine every day, but you just want to be careful. Next are tricep extensions.
It's like, again, like, why are you doing all the like least important, silliest, littlest muscle group accessory exercises first? That's the opposite of the way you're supposed to be doing it. You're supposed to be putting your big, heavy movements first, get those out of the way while you have the most energy and you get the best benefit out of it. And then you go down to the lighter, easier accessory exercises after that.
25 reps. Hold up. When you get to the top, hold it for about 1 second.
I also personally hate this tricep exercise. Personally, I find it's way too hard to maintain good form, and you can see him like really struggling in this. He's like doing this, you know, like he's got to like really struggle to maintain that tabletop form, which could be perceived as a benefit if that's really, you know, if you really want to be training sort of like that core function. But I doubt that's why he's doing it. I think he just thinks this is a good triceps exercise.
Really strain the extension. All right, now face pulls, 15. I'll try to maintain good posture while doing this.
Like, okay, fine. Face pulls are a great exercise. Trains your upper back really well. Trains a lot of muscles that a lot of people aren't really training very effectively on their own, you know, with all the other movements that they're doing.
Also, I'm not an expert, so while I do these different exercises, others may have better technique. So just keep that in mind. 15.
I like how he keeps doing these little disclaimers where he's like, actually, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just doing stuff. You probably do this better than me. Why do you keep saying this, man? Like, I feel like he has that like feeling that I have, where like anytime he like shares something, he like wants to avoid the fit shamers, where he's like, listen, like, I'm just a little guy. I don't know how to do perfect form. I'm just doing the way I know how. So, like, you know, like, let me know if I'm doing it wrong.
Into these reps. I work out every day. This is not to say it's the best way to do it. It's not to say it's the only way of doing it. And in fact, if I worked out less, maybe I'd be better off. We don't know. We've tried some.
Ultimately, it's a matter of total weekly volume. Like, you can work out every single day if you're managing the amount of volume of training that you're doing each day so that it is like something you can recover from and so on. I don't know if, for example, doing the exact same workout every single day of the week like this is a good idea. Especially given his a bit odd exercise selection, and like, you know, like, yeah, is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Not necessarily. It's just like, if you want to train like this, you have to change the kind of training that you're doing to accommodate this, and like, that's it. It's not like it's, again, like, gonna, like, it's not like there's some kind of secret here that's gonna, like, unlock, like, like, you just took 10 years off of your age by like doing this secret trick to work out better. Like, no, it's just like, what matters is the total amount of the work that you were doing per week.
Some variation, but not a lot. So with Blueprint, it's not to say that we've solved every problem. It's to say we have a system to measure and look at protocol. I just feel great when I work out.
That would be great if you'd given us any, like, real evidence that you've been really measuring or, like, testing or improving on things so far. Like, again, basically all that Bryan shows us is like, here's the thing I do. And it's like, why do you do that? Oh, because it, like, makes me age less or whatever. It's like, he doesn't really, like, he just tries a lot of stuff. He's not really like, you know, doing anything that, like, really proves that, like, you know, it's working. Or, like, if he does, it's like measuring a lot of bizarre unrelated variables. It's all very, like, hazy. And again, this is not, like, good science. He's not doing good science. He's just, like, slapping himself, you know, he's, like, putting himself through a crap ton of guinea pig stuff and just kind of, like, seeing what shakes out and what he likes and what he doesn't like, I think.
Out on a daily basis. When I don't, I really miss it. And now for this one, typically I would just grab this band in the middle and I pull it apart, but you can see it splitting here.
I mean, like, that's what they do. They're just big rubber bands, and, like, any kind of rubber band, like, splits over time if you stretch it enough. Like, you should see, like, the guys at Westside, they go through bands like nobody's business. They're just, like, and they're, like, you know, obviously way more jacked than him, and they go through a lot more bands than him. This isn't, like, a brag.
And I guess I'm pretty frugal, so I just grab the ends here. I have all this goodness.
You're not frugal. Why would you say that?
It's a band. Next, this is a shoulder exercise. I actually don't remember the name of it.
I don't even remember me.
But leg up.
This is actually kind of a bad way to load up this exercise, because the problem is that when you're using a dumbbell, the direction of pull is always the direction of gravity, right? And what that means is it's always straight down, and that means that basically the amount of weight changes, you know, based on sort of like the amount of the movement that you go through. So when you're, like, fully upright, basically none of the weight is actually, like, on a muscle, because it's all sort of, like, basically, like, braced on your spine essentially, versus when you're like this, like, all of the weight is on the muscle and so on. And so actually what is actually beneficial for these kinds of rotation exercises is to use a band instead. And he just had a band like 5 seconds ago, so we know he's got bands. He could just be using a band for this exercise with the right angle, with the right line, and that would be giving him a much better effect out of this exercise.
With your elbow tucked right in your...
Not to mention, like, this is basically kind of just another way of doing like a face pull. Like, he's essentially just doing a one-arm face pull with a dumbbell in a weird way. You know, like, you could, there's other ways that you could do this same thing, I would say, more
inside knee, and I do 10 on each arm. Maintain good posture. You can see here, I've got a testosterone patch on. So I do supplement testosterone, and I do so because...
There we go, Bryan. There's the juice. Yes. Take those steroids.
I'm on a caloric restricted diet, which means I consume 20% fewer calories than would the recommended daily allowance. And when you're on caloric restriction, your testosterone goes down. So it's a side effect of caloric restriction. So I supplement testosterone to be in the normal levels. My most recent test was around 850 or so. So I'm in the normal range. We don't go above it. We just want to be normal. So really,
Yes, take those steroids.
it's an offset for my caloric restriction. All right, next is this hamstring stretch. These I always have to warm up a little bit in the morning, where my hamstrings and my back get a little tight. And so I have to work this down a little bit. We can place it down and get a nice.
So this is basically, I think it's called a Jefferson curl. Yeah, so this is basically a Jefferson curl. You know, some amount of debate about whether or not it's a good thing. You know, I think it's probably fine. Like, yeah, this is a decent hamstring stretch for you.
30-second, 60-second stretch. Whatever you can do for comfort.
How'd you go all the way down, man? That's impressive.
Oh, hi, Will. How's it going?
A lot of men have very tight hamstrings. A lot of people who come over here and work out with me, this is probably the most shocking one. Most men don't think about flexibility very much, and especially the hamstrings. So when they do this, they'll typically get up here and they'll stop like right here. They just can't go any further. They realize how tight that whole thing is. I think the stretching is probably my favorite part of my daily routine. It just helps me feel so limber of mind and of body. So on this here, I'm going to put my feet out a little bit here, and I'm going to lift a 45-pound weight. And when I do this, I'm going to focus on my glutes being flexed.
Nothing wrong with this. Great exercise. You know, probably better than a deadlift if you're just looking for hypertrophy. I don't know why he's twisting his legs out. I mean, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it changes the activation slightly, but probably not very much. But yeah, fine exercise, I guess.
So all the way down, all the way up. And you really want to squeeze your glutes to get the most out of this exercise. Obliques, this is 25 on each side. So front leg ahead, the side here. And then I'm going to come up, I'm going to touch just under my knee. So all the way down to get the stretch.
So this is not really a good way to train your obliques. Like, basically your obliques are not like shortening muscles. That's not really their strength. What their strength is stabilizing your core against external pressures. So doing something like a side plank or doing something like some pal-off presses, probably a much better way to train these muscles, but, you know, totally fine, I guess.
Come up, touch my knee. Let's do the other side. Front leg over, hooked underneath, all the way down, knee touch. I love these for the flexibility of range.
I don't get that range of motion he's doing. That's a little extreme. It feels like that's probably not a good thing, actually. It's probably messing with his spine a bit.
Most of these things I never did in my life. I never really prioritized flexibility, and adding these daily really helps. The flexibility exercises are my favorite. We did my hamstrings. This one, a couch stretch. I love. It took me quite a while to get to this point. So you tuck your back leg up against the wall. So you see you have a 90-degree angle. Same with this one. I could not just sit down like this. My best flexibility, I could get down, like do something like this, but no way could I sit on my feet. I had female friends who could just drop into this.
So an important thing to understand about Seiza is, I'm not sure how to pronounce that actually. They have a pronunciation guide. Seiza. I was right. So the important thing about Seiza sitting, right, is that actually a large part of the reason why a lot of people can't do this is simply because they have too much muscle mass. You have somebody who is a bit bigger than Bryan, And the reality is that their legs are just too large to, like, there's too much, like, tissue in there in the way to allow you to really, like, fully sit down into that movement. I can't even really do it anymore. I used to be able to do it when I was a lot leaner. I can't do, like, I can do it when I get lean. I cannot do it when I'm on a bulk. So that necessarily, like, yes, like, this is an exercise that obviously is going to help with your flexibility. Yes, it's beneficial. Yes, it can be good to train. A lot of people, it's just not going to be possible because you just can't do it effectively without, like, an extreme amount of pain, simply because your legs are too big.
Without even thinking about it, and I was always amazed at their flexibility. Most men that I knew could not, and now I love this position. When I hang out with Talmadge, as you maybe have seen in my videos, I love to be in this position.
He loves hanging out with Talmadge. He loves his son, his blood boy.
But it takes some time to get there. So I'll hold this for 30 seconds or so. Next, we'll do the hip flexors. So I'm still working on this one. I've made a lot of progress, but you want to bring up your leg to like a 90-degree angle and come down on it. Leg straight back and really feel the stretch deep in the hip flexor.
Man, this man needs to build some glutes. He's got no ass.
Here, I'm not as flexible on this left side.
This is what my wife always jokes about me when I'm on a cut. She's like, where did your ass go? And, you know, it's gone. It's gone. This man has no ass.
So I'm not as flexible as I'd like to be in this particular move.
Gotta get those cheeks, Bryan.
Even with this angle, I can come down. I'll move right into leg raises. So I use a kettlebell as my weight. And then I bring my feet all the way up and then all the way down and straight out. This next one, I will post a name, but I believe they're oblique touches. So reaching down as far as I can. I'll do 50 of these.
Oh, I love your gross socks, Bryan.
I'll do
this one for the fit fetishists here. Look at those socks. Woo!
I'll do 25 reverse push-ups.
That's called an inverted row. I'm not sure why he's calling it a reverse push-up. Odd. Does anybody call it that? Yeah, I don't think anyone calls it that. Oh no, maybe Athlete X calls it that? No, it doesn't look like that looks like something else. Like, where did he get this? Why did he call it a reverse push-up? I genuinely want to know, actually, like, where did he get this?
I do move through these exercises pretty quickly, so the entire circuit from when I start with the sled all the way through my high-intensity training is between 45 and 60 minutes.
So one thing that is kind of a common misconception is that if you do things in a circuit, aka like you move between exercises very quickly, maybe you sort of rotate the exercises that you're doing, so you're like doing one circuit of everything and then repeating, as opposed to just doing like 3 sets and then moving on to the next thing and so on. So there is a misconception that gives you like an incredible cardiovascular benefit because it is keeping your heart rate up. Yeah, it is giving you a little bit of cardiovascular benefit, but it's not going to be anywhere near what you get from just doing some cardio. And so realistically, like what you should be doing is just doing some cardio. That's going to get you like a much better like time on investment. And it's also going to mean that you're not going to have to suffer where like, you know, you're rushing through your workout. It's like decreasing the quality of your subsequent sets on things because you're trying to like do too much, like rushing between, you know, exercises and not letting yourself recover properly between them and so on. You know, which is funny because like earlier he was like talking about like resting between his sled pushes to let his muscles regenerate magically. So I'm not sure like he went from that to this. Where's the consistency there, Bryan?
I take no break in the entire thing. I just move from one thing to another. And I'm doing that for a few reasons. One is I don't get sore from my daily exercise protocol from either the weights or the high intensity. And so my body is apparently repairing itself adequately to my exercise protocol. Number two.
No. What happens is that over time, as you do an exercise routine consistently, basically what happens is that your brain gets better at recognizing that this is stuff that you've done before. And, you know, basically it sort of inhibits the amount of like warning alarms that it needs to throw up every time you're recovering from exercise. The end result is that over time soreness decreases because you simply get more and more accustomed to the stimulus. It's not because like your muscles are regenerating faster or something like that. That's not how that works.
Two is I find it energizing. I just think it's really fun to move about. I've had a few people come work out with me and they'll comment that I get more done in 45 minutes than a lot
Hi, Jesse. How you doing?
of people do in like 5 or 6 hours. I move very fast. But again, I want to stress what I'm doing is not the only way of doing it. Taking rest days is great. Doing other styles, great. This is just what I figured out for me. Is it working? Yes. And if you look at all my other markers, my speed of aging from DNA methylation to all my other phenotypic markers, all the data is reporting them doing really well across the entire board. So again, could it be improved? Yes. Is it working?
This is like the first time that he's like, I've got some kind of measurement that I'm doing. I don't know what the hell a demethylation marker is. I'm sure he's misusing that concept. But yeah, this is the first time that he's saying that some of the stuff that he's doing is helping his aging somehow, and he's kind of glossing over giving any real evidence. So that's great.
It seems like it's okay. So as of now, this is a pretty good situation.
Calf raises. Yeah, buddy.
After the calf raises, we'll do some poliquins. I learned this from Ben Patrick and also the split squats. So I'll start with left foot first. You can see the slant board here. Okay, we'll go straight into slant board squats. I use the same weight. I have 20 pounds in each hand.
Oh, like finally the man's doing a squat. Finally, this man's doing like a big compound exercise. Well, that's not true. He's done a few, but like this is like this man's done like no leg exercises aside from like the hip extensions. He's done like no leg exercises at all. He's like, this is the first time. Again, like this should have been done first in the workout.
These next ones, this is again from Ben Patrick, knees over toes.
Hi, Ben.
The split squat. My son introduced me to these exercises. We'll see how I do right now. I actually worked out this morning.
I like how after all this, he's like, yeah, and like here's just like some random shit I found from my son. To clarify, he's talking about Nordic reverse curls. This is actually an incredibly good exercise, which is actually very good at preventing injury if you do a lot of running, if you do a lot of field sports. This is actually an incredibly good exercise for the hamstrings, for the hips. Highly recommend it. So I'm not knocking on him for that. It's just kind of funny that he's like, the reason I do this is because like my son just told me something.
I forgot we were filming today to do this. So this is my second workout. So we'll see how many I can rep out. But this is one of the exercises I'm most proud of for progress. These are very hard. So arms to the side, no help in touching the ground.
Good stuff.
And then I'll turn around and do 10 of these reverse Nordics. So I keep my legs on the outside of this. Then I'll come down, try to lay.
Kind of similar to what I was saying earlier about how Seiza sitting can be really, really, really rough on your knees, or very, impossible if you have, just basically too much muscle mass on your legs. This is also one that can be great if you're leaner. Maybe very difficult or impossible if you're a bit heavier. Yeah, I can't do these anymore.
Touch my back to the ground. Okay, next tib raises. I put a towel on the end of the bench here so this doesn't rip it up. I really appreciate these exercises, this one, because it hits a muscle that is otherwise very hard to get to.
He's right. This is an exercise that's very hard to do. Almost nobody would ever train this if they don't have like a tibialis raise setup.
Next, we'll do a single leg tib and 25 of these. So I want to go all the way around, up. So 15 chin-ups, 15 pull-ups. I'm going to skip the pull-ups. I did 15 already this morning. I'm already pretty sore. Talmadge and I went climbing yesterday, something I just recently started doing. We went pretty hard and I felt really sore in here. So after the 15 pull-ups this morning, I think I better lay off this. I did some red light therapy on it to increase healing. So
no.
Otherwise, 15 pull-ups a day. and 15 bicep curls. This is just to 45
Curling in the squat rack. Yes.
pound bar, 10 pounds on each side. Reminder to myself to have good posture, pelvic in. On high intensity exercise days, one of three possibilities. I've got a bike, elliptical, and a row machine. So typically I'll do 5 or 10 minutes on the bike, warm up, get my heart rate in like the 130s, 140s, and then I'll do the elliptical. I'll do some pulse training, some high intensity intervals. And then other days I'll warm up with the row machine and then jump to the elliptical for the high intensity intervals for VO2 max training. And encouragingly, again, as I mentioned before, I'm really proud of my 58.7 VO2 max score. It's extraordinary for my age. And so I'm very happy. That is a great marker for to capture the entirety of not only my exercise protocol, but my sleep and diet, just overall fitness.
Yeah, like it's just cardio. Cardio is good for you. He's got a good VO2 max. Great for him.
This is a 10-minute ride for Peloton. They have these really nice landscape views where
Oh, he's a Peloton girly. Yes, I love this for him.
riding the bike in Reykjavik in Iceland. I'll try to maintain great posture with my back straight. It's easy to kind of get in like this. So really have to work to keep the posture right. Posture is like a constant battle every day, all day. Even though I try, I'll frequently see myself on camera and think, oh man, I thought I was trying, I thought I was maintaining proper posture and it still doesn't look good. So it's
Again, posture is not about learning the right thing. It is about the external forces that are on you at any given time and what the least passive resistance is for that. And that's why it's always so hard, is because you are fighting against what is natural.
really hard to get right. All right, that's it. That's my daily exercise protocol. In addition to doing this 7 days a week, I also play basketball and tennis. Every Sunday, Talmadge and I race
Yes, Talmadge again.
a local mountain trail, 3.4 miles. It's 1,200 feet incline. It's a pretty tough one. We finish in about 34 minutes. The trail's pretty rough. You have to watch your step. It's like just borderline for me. It's too dangerous of creating a risk of getting injured. It's also exhilarating. So it's right there where some days I think we shouldn't do this, and other days I think, no, it's good training for me. But I don't know, we may just continue. And this is all to say with Blueprint, I've learned this. Whatever I say right now is going to be antiquated tomorrow. So we will have changed something up. For example, we would say, you know what, 7 days of training is a bad idea. Do 5 days with these 2 rest days because it's going to be better optimized for your HRV and stuff. So it's really
So he's kind of just tacitly admitting he doesn't really have a plan. He's not really following a specific strategy or program. He's just kind of like trying a lot of stuff that seems cool to him, and he's like switching it out every time it feels like he's like, oh, let me try something different. Which, like, again, like if you are somebody who has not tried a lot of things before, like, yeah, that can be useful for you in the beginning to kind of get a sense of what works for you. But again, it just kind of just kind of admits that there's not really any like real like principle under like the anti-aging thing to this. He's just kind of doing, I guess, what you call more of like a traditional workout routine, and he's just kind of mixing and matching stuff based on like what he likes. And again, that's fine. Like there's actually there's nothing wrong with that, but it means like there's no magic here. He's admitting that there's no magic here. He's admitting that like there's not really any like secret anti-aging stuff. And he's admitting, like, yeah, he just likes to get it in, like, other kinds of activity as well, which is, like, very normal, like GPP, that's healthy for you.
important as we go along this journey together. Understand what I tell you is what we think today. This is our best guess right now, but surely we'll learn more and know better tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I had a good time. I worked out twice. I'm a little tired. So one thing I like to do is I oftentimes would tell Talmadge, when I grow younger, I want to, and I would say the things that I was going to do that he does really well. So I'd ask you, and you can leave your comment below, when you...
Again, he's like just really needs to like bring Talmadge in all the time. I wonder what I honestly wonder what Talmadge thinks of all of this, right? Like, It's like, what does Talmadge think? I want to know. All right, yeah, like, okay, this is a workout. I would say it's not necessarily a well-structured workout. It's not necessarily a bad workout. He kind of admits early on his goal is not necessarily to like build the most muscle, to become the strongest, to like pursue any particular athletic goal. He's just doing stuff that he thinks is going to optimize for longevity, right? And that does mean that he is doing a lot more like sort of like general movements. He's doing a lot more stuff where he thinks that this is helping him with his like mobility or like his posture and stuff like that. And I can't fault him for that. There's like nothing wrong with that. I would say that I think a lot of the stuff that he's doing probably doesn't work the way that he think it does. And I also think that his workout structure is a little bit silly. He's kind of doing things all out of order. It's bonkers to me that he's not including like some heavier like squats, bench presses, deadlifts, overhead presses, in addition to everything else that he's doing, because that's going to get you like a lot of bang for your buck in terms of just like how much muscle mass you can use, the health benefits you're going to get out of it, and so on. So a bit odd. I do like that he's doing a good mix of flexibility in there. I do like that he's doing a good mix of cardio in there. That's all important stuff as well. I give this like, I don't know, like a B. Like it's not awful. It's not great either. Maybe like a C plus, honestly. Yeah, and good for him. Good for him. All right, so that is all for this video. As always, don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. Smash that notification bell. I will see you all next time. Have a good one.